big give time, and we always love this time of year, as it leads up and kind of the excitement and energy starts to kind of go throughout all communities in Nevada as everybody gets ready for their Big Give campaign. So thank you for joining us today. We actually have, you're in for a treat. We have both kind of two experts that are going to be leading the webinar and leading us through some tips and tricks to make the most of your social media campaign. And we also have two guest panelists and presenters with us today that are going to share sort of their organization's own personal success stories and what's worked for them and maybe some lessons they've learned along the way. So you're in for some fun and some good information over the next hour. I would just as a housekeeping item, this is being recorded, so that's the good news. So this will be available after today, and we will make sure to email that out to everybody, so you will get this. We also, if you have questions along the way, I am going to do my best. It is sometimes difficult when you're doing these things to make sure you're keeping track of everything, but I'm going to do my best to watch the question box. You just type in sort of your question into the question box on your GoToWebinar panel, and so if for some reason you have any problems with that, you can also just put it in the chat box. So either one will be kind of watching and try to take some periodic breaks at different portions of the webinar just to make sure we get your questions answered. And of course, there's always opportunity after it's over. If something comes up later, you can always reach out to us. So with that said, we're going to kind of move to sort of our first screen and first, kind of introduction of who you're going to be hearing from today. We've got Riley Casperson, and Riley is just been a pleasure. So I've gotten to work with Riley closely with this year's Big Give sort of preparations and behind the scenes to make this successful for all of you, and she is just a treat to work with. She knows her stuff. She's a marketing and communications specialist with United Way of Southern Nevada. United Way of Southern Nevada is really a huge partner this year and is really helping power and put some of the kind of manpower for making this possible. So we're very grateful to them. And we've also got Heather Curry-Frommer. So Heather has been, behind the scenes helping us with our Big Give, kind of our own Nevada's Big Give social media work over the years. And it's a labor of love. Heather is a social media consultant, so she does this for a living and she knows what she's doing. So we're so blessed and lucky to have Heather with us, just so she can kind of share her expertise and also just help make all of this successful for not only Nevada's Big Give, but for each of you. So thanks to Riley and Heather for being with us today. We've got, just to kind of move forward, we're going to get started, and I'm going to have Riley and Heather kind of take us from here, and we'll work through some of the slides, and then again, we'll make sure to answer any questions you have. So Riley and Heather, if you guys can get us kicked off, that'd be great.
Well, hi, this is Heather. So you're going to hear from me first, and first off, thanks Stacy for that warm introduction, and I have been blessed to work on Big Give for the last several years, and I'm excited to be part of it again this year. So as you'll see on the screen here, we just have our Big Give social media handles. If you aren't already following us, please go ahead and do so. We post a lot of tips. We want to keep you up to date on Big Give news. So that's where you'll want to go. We're always updating it. So please go there and follow along with us so that you can be up to date on all that we're doing and help us count down to the big day. And next are our hashtags. These are the two main hashtags we use for the Big Give campaign. So please incorporate these when posting, when possible. Use in conjunction with your own hashtags. And I know we'll talk a little bit about this later when we have our two guests speak to their successes. I'm sure they'll talk about how they use their hashtags as well. And I will just say here, because I know last year when we did a similar webinar, we had the question of, well, what is a hashtag and why should I even use it? So just so you know what's going on, you use it to identify messages on a specific topic. So great example, the other day we had the Super Bowl. Of course, there were numerous hashtags for the Super Bowl, but for example, one that was nice and short, because you don't want to use up too many characters, was hashtag SB51. So if you clicked on that hashtag, you would get all your conversations surrounding Super Bowl 51, and you could then actually participate. And another thing I just wanted to mention about the hashtags is on the Big Give Day, the last few years, hashtag NVBigGive, which is the first one listed, actually trended on social media. So what that means is we saw a huge spike in conversations about the topic. So that is, it's always exciting when we get to that point when it starts trending, because that means we know everyone out there is really talking and posting, and there's a lot of energy, and everyone's as excited as we are. So now let's start and go over some of the basics, and some of these I'm sure you're already doing, but we don't want to forget. So first, set your fundraising goal. If you don't kind of create a sense of urgency among your followers. It gives you some benchmarks, it gives you some goals, and so you want to put that out there and get your followers involved, and so they know what you're all working toward. Have a story set up. I mean, there's so many great stories that can come out of all of your nonprofits. You all do such amazing things, so incorporate that when you're talking about why you're doing this. So, for example, if you're, and I'll just use this as an example, if you're an animal rescue, talk about, hey, $10 can buy us treats for Rover, and show Rover's picture. Very simple example, but I'm sure you get the gist of it. So tell your story. Stories go a long way. It makes it a little bit more personal. Set up your Razoo page. Hopefully you've done this by now. It's easy, it's quick, and it has to be done for the Big Give, so got to do it. So next thing, change your cover photo, your profile picture, all of your assets. Change that to reflect the Big Give messaging. And then, as we already mentioned, go ahead and like and follow our social media so that you're up to date on everything we're doing. Now, so what do you need to be successful? I mean, it's not rocket science, but it takes some time. So sit down and think about what you need and come up with a good list for your own nonprofit. But here's some things to get you started. So compelling photos. And this goes back to what we were just talking about, kind of creating that story. People like visuals. Visuals go a long way. If you're hoping to raise money to plant a school garden, well, then show a picture of a school garden, whatever that might be. And I want to mention too, some people say, well, I don't have a fancy camera. You don't need that. In fact, sometimes more organic shots that are taken on your cell phone, that are spur of the moment, that are behind the scenes, are actually more interesting. So don't be afraid to whip out that iPhone or your Samsung or whatever you're using and get some shots. And then the next thing is, and Riley will talk about this later, is video. Don't be afraid to do some fun video as well. This can be, and they can be quick. Once again, they can be iPhone, they can be quick. You don't have to have fancy editing, but also have a little fun with it. So humor goes a very long way when telling your stories. And I understand that some of your nonprofits are a little bit more serious in nature, your mission, but when you can, humor really does add to your story. And then finally, your dedicated supporters. This is something, this really is like that whole 7 degrees of separation. I don't know if it exists here. It should be 1 degree, right? Everybody you've got to figure out their tie to your organization and tap into it. So use your employees, utilize your friends, utilize your board members, whatever it is, use them to build support for Nevada's Big Give. And I think our two guest speakers will be able to speak to this point even more because they have lived it and breathed it. And I'm sure they will tell us how they've been able to tap into their various audiences to help them on the Big Give Day.
And Heather, this is Stacy. I would just jump in back to the video piece. I mean, you can't underestimate this. You know, and it, as Heather said, you can make it fun, but if you have a serious topic, so I know Hannah is going to be joining us, and that's a very serious topic. It's domestic abuse, it's domestic violence. But there's organizations that have found ways that maybe the topic is a tough topic, but they find ways to show perhaps someone, a survivor or someone who has perhaps benefited from their services, who can share their testimony saying, thanks to ABC charity, my life has been touched. Thanks to your donation through the Big Give, I was able to get this resource last year. So think about how you can kind of translate some of what perhaps any past Big Give success you've had, if you've participated in years past, into sort of sharing that with people. And you can do that through video, and you can have a powerful testimonial. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. And thank you, Heather, for just making that point about the video piece and sort of the visual part of this, right? I think that's part of the big thing with digital campaigns that sometimes we all lose because we're so used to like the text world, right? So keeping it alive through some of these other options is great.
Yep, good points there, Stacy. Thank you. So now you kind of know what you need. So let's talk about building your following a little bit and what you need to keep doing to keep the momentum going. And so first here is assign kind of a point person. And social media takes time. It really does. I love when people say, well, it's all automatic and you can schedule things. But guess what? There's work behind all of that. And I will not lie, it is time consuming. And so you do need help. You need a team of people to help you gather videos and gather photos and maybe write content. However, with that being said, you still need someone that is kind of your point person. That whole team can support you, but you really want that one person who's in charge of scheduling and posting and monitoring, because once you get going, you'll need that. You really will. It can't be, a 10% of a day kind of thing, and maybe more 50% of the day for that one person. But it does take time. So assigning a person really will help in that respect. Use your current assets. It is, going back to what I just said, it's a lot of work. So you don't have to try and reinvent the wheel. If you have photos from past events, videos from past events, use those. That's important. It also helps you tell your story. It helps you show your mission, the programs you offer, and so on and so forth. So just use what you have. And then promoting cross-platform. I mean, we can never underestimate the power of cross-promotion in any way. So, don't forget about your social media in everything else you're doing. So whether it's an e-newsletter, whether it's a printed newsletter, on your website. I mean, you definitely should have links to your social sites on your website. You should cross-promote among your sites. So, maybe you have a lot of followers on Facebook, but you don't on Twitter. So make sure people know, hey, I'm on Twitter as well. So, link everywhere and anywhere that you can. And sometimes it's even, your business cards, your email signature, your brochures, whatever it may be. Make sure that you're promoting that you're on social media, because then if they go start following you, they're going to see your Big Give messaging, and then it kind of snowballs from there and you take off from there. And I think from here, I'm going to turn it over to Riley, I believe.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. So I am actually going to start with creating the message. So you want to make sure that you kind of keep track of what you're posting. One of the most important things that we've done here is create kind of a post calendar. So it can be as easy as setting up an Excel spreadsheet and just writing out content ideas. You can kind of see an example of our calendar in the photo there, but just write out your ideas for things you want to post about and then set a date to them so that you're keeping track of how often you post and what kind of things you're posting about. Many platforms have scheduling options. I know Facebook has it really easily built into their platform, so you can write these posts and then schedule them, and you don't have to worry about them. If you can write, 3 posts at once, then you're good for the week, and you can just schedule them to go out when you're done. And one way to make this really easy is we have pre-written posts on the Nevada Big Give website. If you go to our nonprofit toolkit, there is a whole selection of posts you can use across multiple platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and all of the captions and things that you need to include. So you can just drop in, let's say, your name, your Razoo link, and a little bit about your mission, and you're set to go. Make sure you switch up different types of content. If you're constantly asking people to give, they're going to get a little sick of you. So find fun things related to your cause, articles. We love infographics here at United Way, and we add them to our post calendar and post those along with normal things like asking people to donate or videos, just making sure you switch up everything that you're including on your post calendar. So we kind of have tips for each different platform. We've kind of focused on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram/YouTube. These are the areas that we're most familiar with, especially because we have them for Nevada's Big Give, and then we have them at United Way. But for Facebook, you want to keep your posts short. There's a lot of technical algorithms that go behind Facebook posts and who sees them. So make sure you keep your posts short and engaging. I would say no more than 3 sentences, because then Facebook sees, oh my goodness, a wall of text. Nobody wants to see that, and we'll just throttle that. Use images. Nobody wants to read that wall of text, so if you pair it with an engaging image that people will stop and look at, Facebook will recognize, oh, they saw this post and they will stay on it for a while because they like the picture, and then your post will reach more people. Video is your friend. We post probably, I want to say, 2 videos a month, but that video gets prioritized over any other type of post. You can reach the maximum number of people by uploading videos, and as Heather said, you don't have to get too technical with your videos. I'll talk about this more a little bit later on as well, but it's really easy to set up these videos. And then creating an event. So we've created a Nevada's Big Give event with the Nevada's Big Give Facebook, but if you want to create your own event, you can set that up, and it makes it really easy because when people say they're attending your event, they will get all of your notifications. So if you want to constantly remind people to give, you want them to see all of your Nevada's Big Give content, you can post it on that event page, and they'll get a notification that it's been posted, and they can go read it, meaning your post reached more people. And you can also share our event if you want and just tell the world that you're participating in Nevada's Big Give. On Twitter, use our hashtag. As Heather mentioned, it's trended for the past few years, so that means more people are seeing it. And when people look up that hashtag, they can see every post that includes it. So some people might not know what organization they want to give to, but they know that the Nevada's Big Give is coming up. So they'll search that hashtag and see everybody that's posting about it, and they'll be able to see that you're participating. Include your Razoo link in most of your posts. Use a link shortener tool like Bitly to make it so it fits in the 140 characters. You want to make sure that most of your tweet is content and not a link. So make sure to use a shortening tool. And then you can really post as often as you want, especially if people are following a lot of people. They might bury your posts behind all of these other posts. So Twitter posts appear in time posted instead of with an algorithm like Facebook. So feel free to post as often as you want. And then if you want, you can tag us. We'll retweet and like as much as we can. We love to see everybody's Big Give ideas and see how you're promoting the Big Give on your own pages. And then photo and video success. So everyone loves photos and videos across all social media platforms, so these are your best bet to reach different people. For videos, you can use Instagram or YouTube. Instagram, they have a limit on how much time your videos can be, so 1 minute or less, but keep your videos short. And then also, if you post a video on Instagram, the sound doesn't automatically play, so keep that in mind when you're making videos and try and limit the amount of sound or the importance of sound in these videos. And then one thing you can do on Instagram is add a link to your bio on Instagram, and if you're editing your profile, you can change that to your Razoo link. I would change that now and leave it for the entire time we're promoting Nevada's Big Give. You can't actually post links and descriptions like on Twitter or Facebook, so keep that in mind and try and include, nevadasbiggive.org in your video and make sure that it's showing up so that they can easily find out where they're going. YouTube, there's no time limit, so it's really best for videos showing the value of your work. telling that story that Heather mentioned that's very important. If you want to post interviews or anything like that, I would post them on YouTube so that people can actually hear and see the full video. And then be creative with your videos. Show your personality and what sets you apart from other organizations. Your story is unique from any other, so use that and show what sets you apart in those videos. And then, as Heather mentioned again, you don't need fancy equipment. If you have a smartphone or just a phone with a camera, you're halfway there. The photo on the screen right now, the Reach for the Stars photo, I took that at an event with my phone and people loved it. It was a volunteer event, so we were able to say, our volunteers from this company were able to participate in this event, and they created this beautiful mural, and people were tagging themselves and sharing it on Facebook, and they loved it, and they really appreciated seeing their hard work on our social media pages. So don't think that you need a fancy camera or anything to set this up. It's really easy to do.
I really, Riley, I appreciate that, right? Because there's so many organizations, you know, we have a lot of small organizations that participate in Nevada's Big Give, and organizations with budgets, you know, less than $500,000 or budgets less than $100,000, right? And I think the biggest question we always get is, well, gosh, I don't have any, you know, I'm not the big guy, right? I'm not the big nonprofit with a ton of resources, so how do I do this? So I appreciate that point. It's just, I think, important just to know that we've even had, for those who've watched sort of the Big Give leaderboards the last few years, I mean, there's been organizations, for those who are familiar and know Foster Kinship, Leaders in Training. There's a couple of organizations that are that are small. Some are all volunteer driven, and they've actually made it in the top, you know, the top 10 list, even the top 4 or 5 as far as their success goes. And they've done it through just sort of getting creative and having fun with this. So I think you can't underestimate that. I want to spend a minute for anybody who's got a question. Now is a great time, because then we're going to segue into sort of some real life examples of organizations that have participated in the Big Give in the past and what they did for social media. So if you have a question now, feel free. I mean, we'll have time at the end as well, but feel free to just type it out in the question box, and we'll make sure to answer anything you might have. But before we kind of, while we're waiting for any questions that might come in, one of the things I wanted to ask Heather and Riley, from your perspective, if an organization just has not really done much by social media, so they, you know, very limited access, you know, haven't put a lot of energy into that, do you have any advice for them for the Big Give? Is there anything that you'd recommend if they really just don't have much of a following and haven't put a lot of resources into that to date? Is there anything you would kind of share with them?
Well, this is Riley. So one of the things we've done that we found really successful is if you have an extra $10, $20 in your budget, boosting posts is really amazing. You just go on, and any post that you put up that you think is doing well, you just hit that button and it'll show to people that you think will donate to your cause. So if you say, well, we're like Safe Nest, we think that women will donate to our cause, you can target that post to women near you in your area in a certain age range, anything like that. But really, if you have the few extra dollars, you see a huge return on investment in that.
That's great. Thank you. That's perfect, and it doesn't sound like it's expensive, so that's even better. Even better. It looks like we do have one question that someone wants to understand a little bit more about the shortening tool. Sort of, what's the purpose of that? Is it difficult to use? Can you walk through that a little bit?
Yeah. So if you go to, it's bit.ly, it's really just to keep your links short. So, you know, if you have a really long link and it's on your website, and so it'll be like, oh, let's say it's uwsm.org/me-and-my-recipe/78465/index.php. Like, there's so many characters that go into each of these links. So if you use a shortening tool like Bitly, it means you're using less characters on sites like Twitter, keeping it really short and manageable, so people don't have to, if they're looking and they just don't want to click on it, they can go type it into their site. So it'll be bit.ly/bit LY3X9, and like that's it. It's really short, and you don't use up the large amount of characters that it would require to put in an actual link on Twitter or Facebook.
Great, thank you. That's good. I think it's a great tool that people probably don't even know exists, so that's awesome. And it looks like just sort of another question, you know, coming in that is just kind of about, you know, what if, you know, from a standpoint of it, it looks like someone just kind of wants to understand a little bit more about how much is too much, right? I mean, is there such a thing as saturation of social media? You know, do we get to the point where people are just tired of our social media? And I think you touched a little bit on it, but maybe either Heather or Riley, you guys could just elaborate on is there such a thing as too much with social media?
Yes.
Well, that's a very real answer, Heather. Thank you.
No. I will elaborate. I will. And this is Heather. There is, and I've seen it myself, and I've actually unfollowed accounts for too much. And Riley, agree, disagree. Let me know what you think. But you know, it really varies. It varies on the medium. So as Riley mentioned, you know, on Facebook, maybe it's a couple posts a day. On Twitter, it can be as many as you want. Instagram, maybe a few a day. And then also, but it goes back to varying the content. If all you are saying is donate, every post, people will unfollow you because they want to see more of that. I mean, think about it this way. Think about the accounts that you follow and you really like. What do they have on their pages? What kind of posts are they putting out? So say, for example, it's a supermarket. Well, are they putting up things for sale? Maybe they're putting recipes, you know, so their content is varied. Maybe sometimes it's a picture, sometimes it's a funny video. So I think variety is also key to that, you know, having a little bit more variety in your messaging, even more so than the amount.
Yeah, I have to agree with all that you said, Heather. It really depends on what your audience finds be too much. If you're posting and you see that people are starting to unlike your page or unfollow, then that's a sign that you need to slow down on the posting. It really depends on you, though. We've found here that one post a day is enough for most people, probably one on Facebook, one on Instagram, and a few on Twitter during the day. But it really depends on your followers and kind of testing to see what works best for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And also, I should just add quickly that, you know, earlier I said it is work, and I don't want to scare people off because social media can be a lot of work. But I think, as Riley just said, if all you can do is one post a day on Facebook, one on Instagram, maybe a couple on Twitter, that's wonderful. It will go a long way. Good.
Thank you. Because I know that those in the nonprofit sector are used to wearing 10 hats, right? And especially when you're in any kind of marketing role, it's amazing how everything, if you even have a marketing role, or if you're someone wearing, you know, today is the hat for programs, tomorrow's volunteers, and then the next day's marketing, how do you manage that? So thank you guys. It sounds like there is a way to kind of try to streamline it if possible. So thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to a special guest. We're so excited that Megan Dugan is joining us from Sierra Nevada Journeys. Megan's the marketing director for Sierra Nevada. I can certainly let her share a little bit about her background, but she was so eager and willing, and we didn't actually have a relationship as far as really knowing Megan that well until this webinar series, but we were looking the Nevada's Big Give volunteer team was sort of culling through different past participating organizations and what they did on social media to sort of share, you know, their message, their story for the Big Give. And Sierra Nevada Journeys really just jumped out to us as an organization that was doing a lot of things right, really making, you know, making it a priority and sort of having fun with it too. So I will say no more other than we're so excited to have you, Megan, so take it away.
Well, first off, thank you, Stacy, for having me. Just to kind of repeat, my name is Megan Dugan, and I am the marketing director for Sierra Nevada Journeys. I've been with the organization for 1.5 years and have been leading our social media in digital fundraising efforts, including last year's Nevada's Big Give, and actually it was our first time participating in Nevada's Big Give. So that was really exciting for us, and we found it to be very successful. But before I dive into the media strategy for Nevada's Big Give, I wanted to give you a quick overview of what Sierra Nevada Journeys is. Our mission is to deliver innovative, science-based education programs for youth to develop critical thinking skills and to inspire natural resource stewardship. And we are headquartered in Reno. A lot of our speakers today are from Vegas, so I'm proud to represent Reno. But we have a beautiful campus also in Portola, California, called Grizzly Creek Ranch. And then we also have a Sacramento office that is expanding our school-based programs in the Northern California region. But most of our programs are school-based, so the schools come to us, we come to them, but we offer a fantastic traditional week-long summer camp at our campus in the summer. Our camp capacity this summer is 578 children, and as an organization, we made a goal to dedicate our resources to ensuring that 10% of those students were from low-income families. And this initiative was successful due to partnerships in our community and through fundraising efforts, including Nevada's Big Give. And then you can go to the next page. So this was really unique for us, and I think to many organizations for Nevada's Big Give, but we decided to partner with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Northern Nevada. It was a really unique opportunity last year because one of our donors was also a big sister to a lovely young girl. And in 2013, she brought her little to our campus for an open house, and they got to participate in the high and low ropes courses, checked out the cabins, had a warm meal, and just enjoyed being outdoors. And to say the least, she really wanted to go to camp. And the story came to us, and it ignited our partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We approached them, and we decided to partner to bring more littles to camp. So partnering with Big Brothers Big Sisters was advantageous for us for multiple reasons. They're an incredible organization with a lot of support in the community. And then littles have such a great support system, including their families, their big, and the case managers. We knew the littles were going to get the support, that they needed, make sure they had the proper camp gear, make sure their paperwork was filled out, their health forms, etc. And then also, as far as marketing goes, our marketing exposure were doubled because of this. We had two organizations working for the same cause, and it really showed. And I really enjoy this quote that's right here. I got it from a different nonprofit participator in Reno, and she said, "If I wasn't already donating at my max level, that message in your partnership would have motivated me." So I encourage you to look for meaningful partnerships, if possible, for this Nevada's Big Give to really double your exposure, double your impact, and see what will work for you. So what worked for us might work for you. So we'll dive into the social strategy. We primarily used Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Nothing else seemed to really show too much success besides that, but I kind of split it from pre-event and day of and post-event. And so pre-event, we actually took the big sister and the little sister, and we actually had pictures of her during the open house and during different camp sessions, and we were able to create a blog post and tell her story and tell why her big motivated her to go to camp. And so it was really interesting. You see her name was Lacey, and we asked why you wanted to go back to camp, and she's like, to meet new people, to do fun activities, to eat really good food. And so it was very personable. It was really exciting, and it really connected with a lot of people. And along that, outside of just your social media, it was a very integrated approach pre-event to really build up some hype for this. So we wrote a press release to the Reno Gazette-Journal, our main newspaper in Reno. We ended up finding a matching grant through our board of trustees, which was really exciting and really motivating for our followers. And then we created the campaign around the big and Lacey the little via the blog post, as well as including her and her story in the press release. We did email blasts to our past donors, to actually our full list of email subscribers to promote this. And then we did the countdown photos, the great tools in the toolbox for Nevada's Big Give, provided, I think it was 10 and down or potentially a little higher than that, but we used that to our advantage and really got people excited. We had created a Facebook event, which was mentioned before, separate from the main Nevada's Big Give event page. And so we shared with our friends and family and our Facebook followers, and so they could say they're interested and receive those updates. And then we did the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram post about the little and her experience, as you can see on the left. And finally, day of activities. We did hourly updates with summer camp photos. As you can see, we found some past summer camp photos of very vibrant children having a lot of fun. Again, visuals speak volumes. So we took advantage of that, and we did some pre-planning. And instead of just like kind of scrambling and putting these together last minute, we created templates with the donors, and amount raised and our goal, and we updated this hourly and posted on all of the social media sites. So it was in the moment, it got people excited and felt they were a part of the campaign and a part of the cause. And then we also attended the local event at Arts for All Nevada. You usually have your host site during the day of, so just to show our support in the community. And then I always like to say this, we worked past 5 p.m. It's a 24-hour campaign. Some people are like, okay, I'm done, I'm so tired. But to really kind of get your bang for the buck at the end of the day, you got to keep on going. And I think I ended up working till about like 10:30. So I didn't go till midnight, but keep on pushing and in hopes to get to your goal.
And Megan, first of all, these photos are just awesome, right? They just sort of make you smile and feel good. Were these done professionally, or were these taken, just sort of by an amateur person with just basic, phone or whatever?
Yeah, so our camp staff are all equipped with just like click and go cameras, and they took most of these pictures, and some of them are done with a better camera because the past marketing director had a photography experience, but most of them are just done by the camp counselors and instructors.
Okay, great. And I really love, just to drive home what Megan just shared, though, so the one thing is creating a goal. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes we get the question, oh, geez, do I want to be like, that's kind of risky, right? Create a goal. What if we don't make the goal? And that people get nervous about that, right? But it is amazing when you create a goal, people and your supporters around you and your social media followers, they want to help you get to your goal, right? So there's this energy created from it. And I love what Sierra Nevada Journeys did with your updates, right? So donors want to know, and people who are helping support you throughout the day want to know how close you are and how much further. And so I thought you guys did a brilliant job, Megan. Congrats to you on how you guys continued to do that sort of update template that you did. Did you say it was on the hour, every hour?
It was close to every hour.
Okay, I'm sure, right? That takes a lot of work, but okay, cool. Yeah.
I did mention, if you do look at the post, we did use Bitly and created a personal Bitly link in the prior one that had the Bitly link, and the hashtags and tagging Nevada's Big Give and the Big Brothers Big Sisters. That all is really great for the Facebook algorithms, and you could do something similar to Twitter, limited characters, but you can kind of see the picture there, and it worked perfectly.
Awesome.
And then post-event, finally, we did the final update, and it's hard to see, I believe, on the photo, but we had 23 donors, and we raised close to $5,900, and then with the matching grant, we actually were only shy $81 of our goal. And it was really exciting for us, and we got to update everybody. They were really excited. We did email blasts, we did all the updates on social media, and then actually in our quarterly newsletter, so like 2 months after the fact, we kept the excitement still going, and letting them know we actually were able to send 20 littles to camp.
That's great. I love it. And I love how you were just very transparent about it all, right? So you show, here's together, a very united effort. We raised this, and look how close we were to our goal. And that's the great way to communicate it. And to really communicate for those who, if you reach your goal and surpass it, awesome. And if you don't, just being, hey, but without your support, we wouldn't have even gotten this far. So thank you. There's just a lot of messaging you can do that's appreciative and lets people know. And quite frankly, half the time I've seen it happen where someone finds out you're $81 shy of your goal and they just write you a check or send you something after to say, oh my gosh, you're this close, let's just help get you there. So awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And then to the right, this was a leaderboard. This wasn't the final leaderboard, but there was a point in time where I was really excited to see that we were on the first page of the leaderboard in the number 8 position. And though, you know, we raised $4,410 at the time and had 11 unique donors, comparing it to some of the larger organizations with higher amounts, this was a very doable and a very exciting goal for us to achieve. And I'd also like to mention we are a smaller organization, and I think sometimes smaller organizations kind of get scared of bigger efforts or digital efforts. They might think it's a popularity campaign or whatever it may be, but there's a space for this, and with some preparation and planning, you too can be on the leaderboard. And I'm just really excited to be along with these wonderful organizations and to represent Reno especially. So
yes, well, thank you. We love Reno. We love all parts of Nevada. So thank you for just anybody listening and joining us from Reno today. Please, whatever you can do to spread the word. We, it is a statewide effort. So we want everybody and anyone who is a donor or a nonprofit to participate. So, Megan, are you ready to move on to the next slide?
yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
And so to kind of sum up some of the things I have mentioned, but I called it my secret sauce, so I'm going to share my secret sauce with you guys. One, don't expect success without some planning and preparation. I've heard from organizations that they'll just go on the day of and just kind of post some things, and they might raise some money, but maybe not meet their goal. So start using the how-to guides, the templates provided by Nevada's Big Give, and start getting creative and trying to figure out what will work for your organization. And then 2, this kind of goes back to the earlier question. I'm all about don't worry about saturating your audience with your messaging, especially on Nevada's Big Give. I would say, the best situation on your normal day-to-day social media posts, like one post works really well on Facebook, but on a campaign, a 24-hour campaign, I think they expect to hear from you often. And on top of people maybe being too annoyed by too many posts, people sometimes are kind of frustrated if they don't hear enough from you. So especially on Nevada's Big Give, I say don't worry about saturating. This picture was actually from Instagram. I actually posted more than this on Instagram. And so just be active and be timely and consistent, and so people start thinking of you, and you might reach new donors that way. And then 3, update your links on your social profiles, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can update your Facebook button, your donate button to your Razoo page. Just makes it easier, more convenient for donors. And then tag Nevada's Big Give in all your posts and use campaign hashtags. They're a cheerleader for all the nonprofits in Nevada. So they'll like things, they'll comment, they'll reshare. They were a great participator last year, and we really appreciate that. And then 5, show your story, show your impact, visuals speak volumes. I don't think I have to go too much on that one. And then 6, it's a 24-hour campaign, keep working past 5 p.m. And then 7, have some fun. And I like to tell the story. That middle photo is our CEO, and my office is just right by his, and I told him to do like an exciting dance or a move, and I just snapped a photo of him really quickly. He had no idea how I was going to use it, and ended up making fun of him throughout the day and using it as a teaser at the end of the night, saying, oh, we're $81 shy. He might do a little dance for you tomorrow if we make our goal. And so maybe that's why we didn't make our goal, is because nobody wanted to see him dance. But it was, it was really fun, and we had a wonderful time with it all throughout the day.
That's awesome. It's sort of keeping it simple and like living, sort of in the moment, being creative. So that's awesome. All right. I think this is your final slide, right?
Yes. And then this is just more when you guys get this webinar to go, after this is over. This is just kind of my checklist for success. Download the Nevada's Big Give how-to guides and get planning. Find a matching grant, and then if it makes sense to you guys, find a meaningful partnership to double the support and exposure. Prep for the big day, create your templates, create your visuals, your blog posts, anything that's going to power your campaign. The next is schedule posts when possible. But be in the moment, update your audience with the most relevant information. And then campaign hashtags, use them. And then get your employees engaged. I've seen this work really well. So ask them to tag their friends and family, say why they're giving or why they work at your organization. Peer-to-peer fundraising is so powerful nowadays. And then finally, have fun. So.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing. I think you guys did some great stuff. You really drove it hard on from a social media standpoint, and I think that's one thing just to keep in mind for those joining us. I mean, the key here is to find your existing resources and strengths and organizational assets. If you're not strong in social media, probably now is not the time to try to ramp it up, a month before. You can certainly try a little bit, but it's a longer-term strategy. I think you're hearing some good tips about planning with all of this. So just, keep that in mind. But if you do have some social media strength or interest in building that, this is a great way to do it. So thank you, Megan.
Yeah, thank you.
Excited for sharing. Team. Anybody have
to give a presentation and all the audio just went out. Hello?
I think we lost Stacy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. Stacy has control of the screen, so I don't know if she can hear me or not.
Okay.
Well, do you want to introduce yourself then, Hannah?
Sure. Can you go ahead and move on to the next slide? My name
I actually don't have control of the...
Oh, you don't?
Stacy does.
Okay, hold on one second. Well, my name is Hannah Brooke. I am with SafeNest. I'm the Community and Donor Relations. And unfortunately, I don't have my slides in front of me. They are being controlled elsewhere. So I will do the best that I can. And again, the PowerPoint is being recorded. So,
hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but I've called in on a different number, and sorry about that. Good grief. So I'm back. I'm so sorry about that, you guys. Anyways, okay. So I was saying before this crazy mishap that thank you to Megan for sharing all your success with us. We think you guys really just have done a phenomenal job. And we did get a question that came in while I got cut off that was, is there a list of marketing companies or teams that offer volunteer hours and services for participating organizations that can't afford hiring a marketing team? Does anybody have suggestions on that?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I don't know of organizations, but maybe you could check at your nearest university to look for marketing or journalism students who might want to get some experience and see if they'd be willing to help you pre and day of.
I think that's a great tip, Megan. And I would say, so university resources are phenomenal. Sometimes, internships. I know even at least I'm going to just talk about my company, right? I've even done that for my company, find, high school students at specialized technical academies, or even college students that are looking for an internship, or great people to help. You can also look at if you have board members, whether it's now or in the future, that have contacts in the marketing world. Perhaps they can make an ask for you. So I think there are resources out there through some of that perhaps you can tap into, Terry. So thank you for that question. Okay, we don't want to shortcut our next guest, which is Hannah Brook. Hannah's a phenomenal woman, and just has done amazing work through SafeNest as their director of community relations, and Hannah's just got they've been quite the success story the last couple of years. So everyone, I think, has a little envy factor going on, Hannah. So you're going to have to you're going to have a tough crowd, because everyone wants to sort of be SafeNest. So take it away.
All right. Well, just to tell you a little bit about SafeNest, if you're not familiar, we're a nonprofit that was founded in 1977, and we address domestic violence issues by providing confidential shelter, counseling, advocacy, and prevention education. In 2016, we assisted about 43,585 victims and their families through its various services. The average stay at SafeNest is approximately 8 weeks, but again, we do it on a case-by-case basis if needed. And according to the Department of Justice, 1 in 3 women are affected by domestic violence in the state of Nevada. So that's just a little bit of background on our agency. Why Nevada Big Give is so important to SafeNest. Last year, we raised over $62,000, and it's undesignated funding. And in 2015, we raised over $40,000, again, undesignated funding. So it allows us to use the funding wherever we feel necessary, and that is something as simple as paying our electric bill, which grant funding normally won't pay for. So, and we have, with the help of our board of directors and volunteers, SafeNest has made this the largest fundraiser of the year for us.
And Hannah, so just to clarify, because some people may be wondering, so when you talk about undesignated, so did you guys actually go about just, hey, here's our goal and help us reach our goal, versus your money is going to go to fund ABC? So you allowed yourselves the flexibility so you could use that money in an unrestricted way?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so it helps a lot.
No, that's good, and I think it's so. I think there's two. I think it's there. That's a perfect example for organizations that are always looking for that extra money, and yet I think you guys, at least those who followed sort of what SafeNest did, it felt very personal, and you kind of got connected. I mean, you get connected to the mission, so you want to help the organization. Whereas a lot of crowdfunding campaigns say, here's sort of a very specific approach of where your money is going to go, and we just heard that from Sierra Nevada Journeys, and that's certainly one strategy. And then here's one where you guys kept it a bit broader, but still really drove home the message to what your mission is, who you are, why it's important, and that also, I think, worked. So it kind of depends on how you're able to develop it, probably the messaging around it, right, Hannah?
Exactly. And we have a phenomenal team, which I'll touch on as we move forward. So one of my favorite teams is University of Michigan. So Coach Bo Schembechler said, the team. And that's what we do. So before Nevada's Big Give, and because we're more familiar with this event every year, we create a team. It's board members, community partners, friends, volunteers, you name it. And we just get everybody involved, because it doesn't cost money, a whole lot of money, to create this event, because you think of galas, you think of dinners, you need some out-of-pocket money, and this does not cost a lot of money. So we start planning early, usually in December, and we start asking ourselves questions. How's the 24 hours going to look like on March 23rd, and what's our plan leading up to March 23rd? So I create a PR plan every year, and I include Nevada's Big Give, when we're going to start posting, when the committee is going to meet, when we're going to start the advertising and get the graphics made, that type of thing. And everybody wants a job. So we take the committee, and my responsibility is updating our Safe Nest page with photos, stories, and videos. We have to be very careful because, again, we are a confidential location, or we are a confidential shelter, and we deal with domestic violence. So it's very difficult for us to find individuals that are willing to come forward and talk about their story because they still may be going through something and they just may not be ready yet, or they just simply want to move on. So throughout the year, I do collect thank yous and stories from staff, and we're able to use those using anonymous names, that type of thing. We also have board members that have had personal experiences either with family members or they themselves are domestic violence victims, and we are able to utilize them. They'll do video or photos and tell their story, and it really helps personalize our cause. We all talked about creating a pre-planned social media messaging. We do exactly that. We have a volunteer, she's creating memes for us this year. And so we're able to send the pre-made messaging out to everybody that's going to participate. And we're able to schedule. I use Hootsuite, so I can go ahead and schedule social media postings both on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram at the same time. And it's very easy to set up. So then we have one person who also helps everybody create their own page. So it's not just Safe Nest that is going after donors, it's all the volunteers and all the board members that want to participate. And I have to tell you, our board is very competitive with one another, so it really creates some fun to say for them. Say one person might say, well, I'm going to raise $10,000, and somebody else says, well, I'm going to raise it to $15,000. And so it creates a lot of fun. And then we also talk to staff. So we have, Safe Nest is fairly large. We have 65 employees. And so we get one or two people to rally the troops between the departments, and again, also board members, and we create that competitive spirit. And what's great too, and helped us a lot last year, is that we could start fundraising a month early. And so we've already got our first donor set up for February 23rd. And most importantly, line up the community partners that will also match. And we've already lined up a few people already for March 23rd.
And I would just jump in because I had gotten last year, just as a community member, I know 3 or 4 board members from Safe Nest, and I got individual messages from each of them, emails that day, right? They each had their own fundraising page where they were fundraising for Safe Nest. They each did their own match. So one was a smaller amount, like for $200, like I'm going to match up to $200. One was $5,000, and I just thought, so you guys it just was phenomenal. So if you have a board, and it doesn't even have to be a board, it could be, like you said, right? Other people,
volunteers, friends, whoever believes in your cause. People tend to be passionate about causes, and so with domestic violence, a lot of people have those personal ties to domestic violence, and so they want to help.
Yep, good point. Well, great.
So the day of, so just simply get ready to brag about how incredible and awesome your agency is. For one day, for a 24-hour period, saturate everyone with how phenomenal your agency is. For social media, schedule it to be posted at 12 a.m. We can schedule it, again, through Hootsuite, or I actually have a staff member. She loves to stay up late, and she's made the last couple of years one of the very first posts at 12 o'clock because she loves watching the interaction and the energy being built on Nevada's Big Give. So anyone who is participating during the day, they are bombarding their friends, colleagues. Stacy, how many times you said that you got contacted? Social media throughout the day with, again, pre-made social media messaging that we've scheduled ahead of time. And 1 or 2 people are assigned to monitor and post on social media. This year I'll have 2 staff that are very comfortable with social media and very comfortable with the social media messaging. So literally they're going to be watching the leaderboard, and so while it's happening throughout the day, they're going to be able to thank donors through social media. And then I have somebody else, as you'll see, who is assigned to monitor the Razoo page, and they'll quickly send a personal thank you to the donors. So we're not only personally thanking the donor through Razoo, but we're also posting it on social media. And then SafeNest, we always have a specific location. The last year we were downtown Las Vegas. This year we have another place, and it gives donors an opportunity to mingle with staff and just to meet the people who enjoy what they do during the day. And it's also an opportunity for board members, volunteers, and staff for us to celebrate exactly what it is that we do. And it also creates a really fun environment because, again, domestic violence, not really a fun topic to discuss, but it allows us to take photos that we can actually post on social media. And I will tell you, our board, our volunteers, our staff, we always have fun with what we do, and you can feel it.
One year, didn't you have a tree tied into your logo? I may be wrong or creating this in my head, Hannah. Wasn't there every time, right?
Yeah, no, that was a couple of years ago, and then we tried it. We actually tried it downtown Las Vegas, but it was very warm that day, and it didn't work out so well. So every time somebody made a donation, we would put a leaf on this tree, and the marker was supposed to be erasable, but it got baked onto the to the sheet. So this year we're actually going to create a thermometer and utilize some different materials.
Awesome, awesome. Well, hey, you know what, though? That's a real-life story, and we all are probably smiling on the other line because we all can relate. We did get a question, and I also want to thank you for those of you, because of our technology glitch, we're a few minutes behind, but that's okay. We're gonna wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. So if those who can hang with us, please do. We have a question from Chad, who's asking, how exactly do we create individual pages for board members on Razoo, and does it all go to one organization? So Chad, I'm going to just take this one. There is tutorials on, if you go to nvbiggive.org under our resources section, and you'll see a nonprofit toolkit, you'll see a fundraiser toolkit. You'll want to look at that fundraiser toolkit, and it shows some of that. We also had a webinar that happened last week that recording is on our website that talked a bit about creating individual pages. And I would just offer up to you, if for some reason you still need help with that, please just reach out to us. You've got our contact info, and we can certainly just make sure that we can help you one-on-one. But I think all of those resources are probably going to give you what you need for that. And you know, I do think, Hannah, before we go into kind of your final slide, I would just say that you guys have done a great job with being really creative about it. And I think what has been fun to watch as sort of someone in the community is, you've had a board that's really activated their fundraising. So we all talk about boards not always being active fundraisers, right? And we always say, oh, boards don't fundraise, they never want to get involved. This board, and you know, and I realize not all our boards are the same, right? But your board has really been a huge driver of a ton of what you've done. So it's kind of, it shows how do you kind of tap into the creativity and board members wanting to help in some way. And I think SafeNest, you guys have done a great job with that.
Yeah, and I have to commend Shannon Martin. She's the chair of our board, and she's actually the one that catapulted this over the last couple of years. And she's really the one that I mean, at the beginning we made $40,000, and she saw the opportunity for us to make a lot more money. And so she's the true cheerleader of this board, and they all use their individual talents to help us do what we need to do to raise money. So the after, huge thing, thank you. Just thank all of your donors, everyone that participated, everybody that helped. Again, you can pre-schedule your email blast, social media, phone calls, and definitely we have to thank Nevada's Big Give, because we wouldn't be doing this without them. And post photos of the day, people just even posting on social media, and sit down and make notes on what worked and what didn't, and ask anyone else who participated throughout the day and throughout the process for feedback, because that's the only way that you can only improve the following year. And schedule a debrief meeting so you can go over everything. And again, but most of all, just continue thanking everybody.
You know, just there was a donor that gave to a friend of mine who gave to SafeNest last year, and I remember they said that they had given to about 5 organizations that day, and they were so impressed because within that hour or two of making that donation to SafeNest, they got the personal, and it was a personal thank you. It wasn't a generic one. It was an email, and it was just a personal email, and they really, and it also kind of gave them an update on sort of how SafeNest was doing on your campaign. So I think the thank you, that actually made that donor want to give again and give more. And I'll tell you guys, Hannah, I think your point's well taken. You can't say thank you enough.
No, you can't. And again, that goes back to having somebody monitoring the social media and somebody else monitoring the leaderboard and the Razoo page, so they can do a personal thank you to the donor.
That's perfect. And it's a great, again, if you don't have the staff, you can find volunteers. You can have volunteers. You can have board members. You can have other people who can help you with this stuff. So we're going to, as I sort of share some wrap-up items, if there's any final questions, you can feel free to type them in the question box. First and foremost, huge thank you to our presenters and our panelists. All of you, I think, shared a wealth of information and knowledge, and I know I always learn something, and I hope everyone who joined us for today's webinar took a nugget or two you can kind of run with. So thanks for sharing and being open. That's what this day is about. It's about us uniting as a state to give where we live, and that means sharing best practices and what works and sometimes what doesn't. So I mentioned the toolkit is your friend, you guys. Use it. We all put a lot of time and energy into creating these toolkits for you to try to make this as seamless as possible. It's everything from template emails to template, sort of calendars and action plans, and you can find all that at nvbiggive.org under the nonprofit toolkit. There's also a corporate toolkit. There's also, a business toolkit, a fundraiser toolkit. So all sorts of things depending on which audience is and how you're trying to approach your Big Give campaign. So use those. Make sure there's also our 2 recorded webinars that have already happened are on there. So if you missed those and you just want to kind of refresh yourself, feel free to go and access those at nvbiggive.org. I'd recommend you go online. If you're not getting email updates from us, you're going to want to make sure you do, because we'll continue to announce other upcoming webinar opportunities. We'll talk about other sort of frequently asked questions that we get, tips and tricks to kind of from here on through March 23rd, the big day. So just make sure you do that. And I would just say that, this is a statewide effort that giving days and online giving days are happening around the country. And it's just, let's show what Nevada can do, right? Let's show how generous our state is. We do have some amazing, philanthropists and amazing organizations like yourselves doing hard work, putting those good donations to use. So, so thank you for all you do. We have 2 big sponsors. We have several smaller sponsors, but our 2 big sponsors for this year's Nevada's Big Give are Sands Cares and Barrick. So a huge shout out and thanks to them. And again, I do want to give a special thanks to United Way of Southern Nevada, who's really helping power and provide some of the staff support and capacity building support for this year's Nevada's Big Give. So I've been a volunteer for this effort for 6 years, and it's so nice to have other help. So thanks to United Way for that. And again, thank you to all of you for joining us today. I don't see any final questions. So with that, I think we're going to just call it a wrap. And thank you, panelists and presenters. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.